Okay, we're rolling.
Good evening, everyone. This is the June 18th meeting of the Quality of Life Committee. I am Mariama James. I will be your chair. Pat Moore is on a much-deserved vacation. And we are going to get started with the first item tonight, which is the New York State Senate Bill S1457A out of our Senator Kavanaugh's office, co-sponsored by Deborah Glick out of the Assembly, New York State Assembly Bill A5334, to provide an adjustment of the maximum income threshold for eligibility for SCREE, DREE, SHE, and SHE. We can get started. Dan?
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. So do you know if Hallie Chu has joined, Zach?
I don't see her on. Oh, there she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, I can get us started. Thanks for asking us to come and talk about this bill. So our office actually undertook quite a few bills related to SCREE DREE this legislative session to try to make reforms to the policy. And so, as you guys know, the SCREE DREE, SHE, and DHE, which is the version for homeowners, the programs work to preserve affordability and stability for low-income seniors and disabled New Yorkers who are overburdened by housing costs. The programs freeze the tenant's rent and provide property tax relief to homeowners, and they're a major part of our efforts for many years to help people who are struggling to afford housing and other basic needs. And so I guess while these programs are currently in effect and serve thousands of people across New York and are successful, we wanted to address several problems, one of which is that the income limits for these programs have stayed stagnant at $50,000 for, I think, since 2015. Hallie, you can correct me, for SCREE DREE, in 2017 for SHE and DHE, when they were raised from $29,000 via legislation that my boss, Senator Kavanaugh, worked on while he was a member of the Assembly. And so our bill this year that you all are opining on today would propose us to raise the threshold, the minimum income, to $67,000 and index it for inflation in future years. So I'll stop there. And if Hallie wants to speak a little bit about where the bill ended up, kind of its path through the Senate, and kind of its fate this session.
Please feel free to unmute, Hallie.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. And yeah, just a little bit of a background. So I think I'm gonna really focus mostly on the bill that Dan was kind of talking about. The number is S1457A in the Senate, and is A5344 in the Assembly. So this bill kind of goes back many, many years, but let me, hold on, give me just a second. I'm kind of like clicking back. Yeah, so Dan is correct. I think when he mentioned the 29,000 to 50,000 income threshold increase, that happened in the 2014-2015 budget, the state budget. That increase for SCREE and DREE happened then. So it's been over 10 years. And the original version of this bill that I'm talking about was initially introduced back in 2014. So pretty much when it was the income threshold increased, and then people realized that at some point, this isn't going to be sustainable in the future years. This was way back in 2014, 13 and 14 initially, carried by then Senator Perkins. And then over the years, so Senator Kavanaugh picked up the bill in 2018, and then has had this bill since then. So the current version, which is now S1457A, has gone through a bunch of amendments. So the two major things that the bill has sort of changed, I guess, in terms of the concept, is there's an initial increase of the maximum income threshold for all four programs, Sri, Shahid, and Dahi, to $67,000. And the reasoning behind that number is we basically went to the US Department of Labor. They have this kind of inflation calculator. And we put in, in April 2014, when this was first increased to 50,000, we put in 50,000 at that time. And then we calculated using that online tool what 50,000 from April 2014 would be like. And when we worked on this version of the bill, this was at the end of 2024, end of last year. The latest available information that the Department of Labor calculator had was, as of the end of 2024, the 50,000 in 2014 money would have equal to about $67,000 in, and dollars. So we amended the bill to increase that to $67,000, reflecting our belief that this program, it would have worked a lot better had it been indexed inflation all these years, and we felt like that's the right thing to do. And then a second component of the bill is going forward, it will continue to be indexed inflation. So one part of the amendment that we did, it didn't really change anything, but Sri, Shahidi, these are all programs that, primarily New York City is the heaviest subscriber user, but other localities can also use it. And there are actually, a couple of dozens of towns, villages located in outside other counties that have these programs. So we basically took the language from cause eviction, like that language in there that talks about, what kind of inflation index to use, and use that language put into our current bill. Nothing changes. New York City is still using the exact same inflation index that it would have used, but we're kind of maybe like improving the program a little bit in case in the future other localities decide to also opt in. There's language in there that tells them, what to use. Simply because there's, New York City uses the kind of high density urban version, and then outside in the rural counties, they use something different. Again, it doesn't really change the substance of the bill, but if you compare versions and you see changes, these are sort of the reasoning behind the description of what was changed and the reasoning behind what was changed. And then in terms of updates, so definitely a very exciting update. I know it didn't ultimately pass this legislative session, but I think what was really exciting was the bill has always sort of been stuck in the Finance Committee. One of the major concerns is by increasing the maximum threshold, it could potentially mean, which is a good thing, there may be more people who would be able to participate in these programs. So more people means, I guess, kind of New York City, I'm talking about New York City right now, but this applies to all localities, but New York City would kind of forego a higher amount of property tax as a result. And, the good news and the intent of the bill is also for people not to get priced out of the program as their income, maybe Social Security, COLA adjustment or whatever, may have like pushed them over the threshold. That also means people continue to participate, and that overall just means, the number of people participating will be on the higher end compared to if people dropped out or were just never qualified. So there is a cost concern. And this year, I do want to shout out Senator Liz Krueger, who's the Senate Finance Chair, who has just been a great champion of this bill. So she got it unstuck from the Finance Committee, and this included on our end, Housing Committee, we had a joint hearing on rental assistance back in February. We got DOF to testify, to talk about the program. talk about their efforts too, to outreach and want more people to participate. So that's having more people in these programs is aligning with what the city wants, and also have DOF to kind of share their cost estimate of this program. And that number, Senator Krueger was able to sort of use that and I guess convince leadership to really get this bill out of Finance Committee, moved onto the floor. And then on June 12th, which is just under a week ago, at the very final week of session, the last couple of days, the Senate actually was able to pass the bill. So this is the farthest it has ever gone. So we're excited even just for that, and very thankful for a lot of support from Senator Krueger's team, actually a lot of people, colleagues within the Senate, and also from City Council. Councilmember Gail Brewer has had a resolution supporting this bill since last year, and that meant a lot, because that just means a official body, New York City Council representing New York City is saying we want this and we support this. That goes a long way to show, our Senate central staff or people doing the analysis to be like, hey, this is something New York City wants. New York City is one of the biggest locality to use these programs. Hopefully, I think that sort of factored into ultimately moving the bill as well. And last thing I want to mention is, regardless of what's in the bill, everything is still an opt-in. So, when the maximum income threshold was increased to 50,000 back in 2014, New York City Council had to pass a local law to adopt that. So this bill, if it has passed, the next step would have been for City Council to also introduce, have an intro, pass it into local law, and then the increase will take effect. So that's also something that we think is a kind of a building feature of the bill, because we do recognize that there are some localities, especially really small villages in other parts of New York. They really don't have a lot of property tax revenue. Sometimes if they do the math and they figure, it might be, there are still localities that kept to the 29,000 income threshold. And that's perfectly fine. They can make a decision later on to decide if they want to adopt that or not. But for New York City, every time there has been an increase, they have subsequently passed a local law in support and adopt, of their own initiative, and kind of like have the legislature and mayor support to sign it into law. So that's one component that we were making it very clear, like we're not forcing anybody to adopt it, although we thought it's necessary, it's a good thing. We heard from a lot of seniors and people on screen entry that is necessary. And then the corresponding homeowner version is also beneficial for homeowners because of the exemption that they can receive if they're eligible to be in these programs. So yeah, that's mostly the kind of what the bill is about and what the updates we have. If you have any questions or just any further things, happy to answer.
Yes, John Scott.
Yes, well, I'm aware that the Senate passed the bill on the 12th and it went to the Assembly on the 13th. So our question to you, it got passed in the House, on the Senate, and then the Finance. So now it's in the Asian Committee on the Assembly. So what is the process to get it passed? Because it has to be passed in the Assembly also.
Right, yeah, you're correct. So unfortunately, it is in the Assembly Asian Committee. So in this current session, so the 2025 session is not gonna, this bill will not become law because it only passed one house. But we do think, I think I should mention in the past, several months, like there actually has been two pretty well attended and kind of press conferences that we were able to have on a package of screen injury bills. I'm talking about the bills that the Kavanaugh has, but there are a lot of other ones in which, we also were able to get Assembly Member Rebecca Seawright to attend, speak at these. There was one in Albany and one in New York City. So at both of these rallies, she was there speaking in support of screening and sort of reforms and bills that would kind of make it more affordable, more accessible. So it's a disappointment in some ways that it didn't pass the assembly this year, but now we have, full support. I should also shout out to Senator Cordell Clear, who's the Aging Committee in the Senate. We expect, next year's session, she would again move all the bills out of her committee. And then Senator Krueger will hopefully move all the bills out of his finance committee, and the Senate side passes this bill in particular. Now that there's like a partnership on the assembly side, we will make sure to work with Assembly Member Civil Rights Office really early on the session to make sure the parallel movement also happen in the assembly.
Yes, so what you're telling me, it's not going to be passed this year.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not.
But last year, it was passed in the Assembly and it wasn't passed in the Senate. So
No,
this year,
it never
it's
passed
in
in
the
the
Senate.
assembly.
There was something passed in the Assembly. Okay, so it's not going to get passed this year. So next year, it has to get out of the Aging Committee and it has to go into the Finance Committee. Is that the process?
Yes, that would be the process for the Senate, and I expect something similar in the Assembly. So it will go from the Aging Committee to their version of finance, which is Ways and Means.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I want to let everybody know is that it's going to be another year, and then it has to go to the city. And the city, it'll take another 6 to 9 months. So tenants won't be eligible, and their rents, more than 40%. And if they were under 67%, $67,000, they would have their rent freeze this year. So I'm a little confused why it couldn't get passed in the Assembly when it was passed in the Senate. And I went to a press conference, and so did our district manager and other people from the community board, and they all were in agreement. So why can't it be passed this year?
I think it's even again, I can't speak for the Assembly, but just looking at our particular bill's history in the Senate, Senator Kavanaugh has been advocating for this bill for years. Senator Clears, the Aging Chair, has been supportive for many, many years, and Senator Krueger has, even if you see the bill not moving out of finance in the past few sessions, what you don't see is behind the scenes, she's been trying to get the bill on a finance agenda for many years. So a lot of what happens when you see a bill moves and pass sometimes is a multi-year effort of just repeated pushing and finally getting it, unstuck. So we know that process has started also in the Assembly, and I understand. I think there's a frustration in terms of the timeline for sure. But I think where this bill and our partner bill in the Assembly has probably moved furthest is here. So I think that is a good sign. Not good enough to make it into law, definitely admit that, but I think it's that's kind of our starting point for the next session, which is farther than we've ever been.
Well, as we've reached quorum during the presentation, can we get a can we call a question on this to support this committee and this board supporting this bill?
Yes.
But the only thing that's a point of information, the Senate bill was passed, so it's the Assembly bill that has to be passed.
So called question?
Have we written a resolution in support of the Senate bill previously?
No.
So we can still include it in this.
Okay.
We support both.
Sure, we can, sure.
Called question?
Have a second? All in favor? Online, if you could raise your hand so Zach can see you. Unanimous.
Yeah.
John, I still don't get, I don't know, I still don't feel that she answered, that you're quite, like, I'm still confused why it has to wait another year. I mean, they don't meet more than once a year.
I
think
Oh,
when it-
The assembly
I can't answer that question.
I
goes
think when
out
it
of
comes down
session,
to-
it doesn't resume
Sorry?
until January. The assembly goes out of session, like over the, it doesn't resume until January.
From now until January, nothing else can be brought up?
Once they leave, once the
Right.
session closes,
Okay.
they won't be back.
I don't know.
Yes.
I have a question. So let's say it does hopefully pass, the assembly doesn't have to go back to the Senate?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
It was passed.
Oh, okay. But it
So
will have a different number. Okay.
on housekeeping, I'd like this to be sent to a number of people in the assembly. The Senate already passed.
Can you send the list to Zach? Okay.
This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
probably moot point and it's ridiculous, but I mean, you would know more about it than I would. The fact when it's brought up and it has to, but it can't be passed for another year or two, if, you know, we're gonna have is there anything that can be done to have it retroactively, like at the time it's brought up?
We're working on that, yes.
But I wanted to ask her that, but then I just.
So, we're working on that, but at the moment, the bill is passed in the Senate. So the law is what's there, the
Right.
language is what's there.
But that might answer, like,
And
your point.
so, this is frustrating for me because I've been working on this for 5 years.
Okay.
For IPN and for Battery Park to come under screen.
Okay.
And then working a few years to raise it. And they keep telling me it's gonna be passed this year, it's gonna be passed this year, and then it's next year.
The retroactive is like a shot in the dark.
And so, you know, but I'm happy, but I'm happy,
I'm sure,
I'm
right?
happy it's gonna be passed.
Yes, okay, so let's move on to outdoor dining. We have 2 items under outdoor dining.
Just a quick thing, do y'all want to announce what's been postponed to next?
Well, I
I
don't know
think
when
there's
it's,
a couple.
I honestly don't know too when it's been postponed, so, well, I can do that though. New York City Department of Social Services, there was a meeting between several community leaders, including myself, Tammy, and Zach, with DSS, several parents at the location, the site location for the Pearl Street shelter, safe haven. And consequently, the DSS decided that they had just had a meeting and didn't need to have another one, so they're not here tonight. They canceled.
Mariama, can I say something?
Yes, of course.
We object to that supposition. The CAB meeting and the walkthrough were both private, not public meetings. And information like slides that were shared at the CAB about populations and how they come into the local shelters to serve the local homeless should be shared publicly. It's information we've asked to be shared publicly. And we made our objection known, but
And are y'all both from Fidel West?
I'm from Fido West, also just care about also the Pearl Street situation, just all of it down here, so, yeah.
So FYI, and then Zona.
And the licenses, other licensees from which we were gonna hear, they all postponed to exec. So you'll still hear them, just not at this committee meeting.
And that's on Monday.
We do have with us tonight representatives from, or a representative from Blue Bottle Coffee. So she's gonna handle both items, and we're starting with 20 Broad Street.
So, site map, if everyone,
Do we have anything for the screen?
Yeah. Zach is
so, it's the site map.
He's talking to
Oh.
his house. That's what's picking up for recording.
Oh, thank you.
I would like to see the site map.
This is
Location.
20 Broad.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, this is two.
Two pages, yeah, it's split it so you can see, yeah, I would have to that.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so for Broad Street, requesting outdoor dining.
Broad Street, you're doing
Just
side.
8 seats.
Yes, 8 seats, 3 tables and 1 ADA.
How many bathrooms do you have? Is it accessible?
Yes.
What are your hours?
Hours are 6:30 AM to 6 PM, Monday through Friday, and 8 AM to 6 PM Saturday and Sunday.
And where are you gonna store the tables, the chairs?
They go inside once they go inside overnight. So we finish using them during the day to be stored.
And it's just coffee, your establishment doesn't sell liquor or anything?
No, just coffee and food, like pastries.
So what's the hours again?
So 6:30 AM to 6 PM, Monday through Friday, and 8 AM.
Do that early for that.
Okay.
It's 8.
8? Okay, we can do.
Yeah, it looks like that's what they,
So sorry,
Oh, yeah.
Monday through Friday, 8 to 6?
Yes,
And Saturday, Sunday was,
same thing.
okay, so.
And they start at 8 on Sunday?
No, liquor.
Sunday is 9.
Okay,
But
What did you say, Tammy?
I was just gonna say the same. He knows the hours. He's got it.
Okay.
and sorry, we skipped, can you maybe say who you are?
sure. My name is Jessica Stiffel. I'm a field leader for Blue Bottle. Stepping in for someone who would normally be taking care of this. Which would be facilities.
I'm personally fine with this one. Any questions on this one from anybody?
I'd just say make sure to communicate to the staff that it's 8 AM, because I know, I'm sure they're just trying to get stuff set up in the morning, so, yeah.
Okay, no problem. We will definitely do that.
Call the question?
In a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Now Greenwich Street.
Yes, now the next location is at 408 Greenwich Street, same corporation, Blue Bottle Coffee Inc.
The Greenwich and where?
Application for a sidewalk cafe.
Greenwich and where?
I'm not sure of the cross street.
Oh, this is, it's not more,
It's not, beach, it's,
Oh, wait, okay, no, going up Greenwich.
Yeah.
so it's
Okay,
It's more towards
No.
like,
downtown.
I was actually thinking of a different location.
All right.
because the World Trade Center location is also, the address is Greenwich, but they're,
I think I was
Yeah,
thinking like.
408, like Harrison Street.
Okay,
Yeah.
north.
Harrison?
Yeah,
Okay,
so this is next to across from Citibank.
Oh,
okay, I'm not, but I think north,
no,
north.
it's north
Part of
more,
Yeah.
the corporation beach, it's, almost near Canal.
Oh, the black house. Hang on.
But don't we have been managed about where it is?
Yeah. Also.
It's for,
This is Greenwich.
always Greenwich, and then.
yeah, so I was trying to figure out.
It's just similar to
Is this-
what you
Greenwich
had
and what?
Is this the
before,
same?
or
No,
currently?
so, see the,
Yeah.
wait, was it, so,
This,
so that's,
this is the new one?
yeah, this is the new one for Greenwich.
Thank you.
oh, it's a different one?
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Two locations.
Is this similar to the setup that you currently have, do you know, or like that they had before? Yeah.
Oh, this is a little before late,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the street.
Sorry.
in between late and what's on the street before that.
6 seats at this one?
Thank you.
Let's see.
Oh, no, the new.
Yeah, 6 chairs, 1 table,
Yeah.
and 1 ADA table.
Also 1 bathroom?
Correct.
Same hours too?
The hours are a little bit different, so,
Okay.
Monday through Friday, it's 7 to 5, and,
So we'll change it to
so
8
we'll
to
change
5?
it to 8, and then, Saturday and Sundays, 8 to 4.
So we'll change it to 9 to 4?
And you're just looking for the Greenwich Street side, not the other side.
Correct, yeah.
I have a picture like the other one.
I'm cool with it. Okay, call the question?
Second?
All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We're done, we're out of here.
Yeah.
We are.
Thank you.
We are in no new business or anything, right? Meeting adjourned then.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
Everyone.
And I don't need to see the attendance sheet, Zach. Zach, you're sharing the attendance sheet.
But I would like to make a statement. I talked to, district manager, a while ago, I wrote a resolution.
I was thinking of
And
Bluestone.
the,
That's the same.
seat was
Yeah,
put
yeah.
on where the bus stop is, but because Washington Market Park is now closed.
Oh, you mean for the bench to be
Yes,
replaced?
the bench, is closed through August. And they took
Thank you.
benches that were opposite the park, so we have one bench, and some people that are going to Whole Foods get tired and have to rest. And there's one bench, and that's usually a homeless person sitting there, but the thing is, we need.
So that was what we had
We were-
started to talk about at the full board meeting.
Yeah.
We started out talking about your resolution, but we went into a further conversation about the need for benches in general, because there are no like
Right.
rest stops throughout our district.
Right.
Yes, so we will pursue
Right.
this. We can,
But
Yeah, we have a letter drafted. We talked about this, John.
Yeah.
Forwarding it to you now for you to review. And
But we're talking about one,
we can edit the letter. You
At-
wanna edit the
I
letter?
don't remember what month that was. April?
For full board or,
Yes, the full board meeting where we talked about it.
that was, just last month, May.
May?
um,
So at the main meeting.
so I would like more than
conversation.
one.
Yeah.
It's a long,
Yeah, take a look at the letter
I'll take a look.
and then we'll see how that.
But we gotta put it on quality of life also,
Uh,
because we have to talk about other areas. It's not just one bench for them. There are other areas in the
But
district.
then
where
you have to find a place where you want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why we need to talk about it.
That's what I brought to the attention. We researched this, said we had benches, we explained our senior population, so, you know,
Movable benches or permanent benches?
permanent, bu-
Okay.
and, so we did our research. So what I'm saying is other communities want a bench, they gotta tell us.
John, the only thing I would call out is, one, I would just say, let's keep it broader, because as I mentioned in the full board, I am not necessarily an old person, but I do want a bench and I do want somewhere to sit down.
But you have to tell me where.
Yeah,
What I'm saying, I'm telling you
Not
where.
just
And then and the other thing I'll call, right, not just seniors, and then the other thing I'll call out is,
Right.
this might have, I don't know how they interact, but like, we do still have Saturday farmers market, and that might impact how many benches they put there.
In that
Because-
particular area, yeah.
Well, if there's a bench and there's a farmer's market, it's not gonna interfere with the farmers.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, we just want to make sure it doesn't, so,
No, it's
so
not.
that's why I'm saying, it's not gonna be 3 benches, because then they can't
I
necessarily
mean,
have
the
the farmers
farmers
market.
will use it, but that's beside the point.
Well, then like, then they can't set it up if there's a bench
No,
there.
no.
That's, I'm just saying, that's what I'm just saying, keep those things into consideration.
I know, I was one of the original people who fought for farmers in that area many years ago. So
Yeah.
I understand where they are and how they can do
The meeting's over?
Yes.
it. Okay, that's the quickest. And